Alright, so I'm back here and I'm going to continue doing my Canon carriages. If you notice, I've already got the get a pointer here. Already got the Canon carriage axles all glued down. I let them set up longer with the super glue here, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put the brass, hopefully I won't lose this, the brass wheels, if I can get it into focus, brass wheels on the carriages. Sorry, I post still images on Facebook, and I was just grabbing a still image. And I'm going to put a little drop of super glue on the Canon axle and slide that wheel. Oh, and I just took off the axle. Get that off there real quick. That was surprising. Had it on there and it came off. A little painting. Now I'm going to put the axle back on it. So it didn't have a lot of super glue on it. Unfortunately, on these axles here, got to have a healthy portion of super glue on it in order for them to stick to the metal. You know, it's a brass rod, and so I'm gonna go ahead and let that set up. Let me go ahead and do this other side right over here, front axle, and I'll come back to this one. It means I have to reset the camera up. So what I do is, I don't know, you can't really see it. I've got these wheels stood on its side right here, and still they're not in view. So kind of like that, they stood on its side. Let me rotate it. Now I got a little super glue on the my little clamp here. And I come in here with the forceps, or whatever you want to call this. I forget what the proper name of this tool is, but come in there and grab it. You know, you don't want to go too low and you don't want to go too high. You want to grab it right there in the middle, or that's going to happen. And this is sometimes trial and error. I've had a couple of these things shoot across the room, so you will probably experience that if you have to do this style of Canon. And then you just slide it on. I know the lighting is bad. See if I can get that lighting on there. You just take it and put the hole right on it, and then you press and release. Make sure they're lined up, and that's all. That's all I'm going to do with this one right here. I'm going to reset the camera and see if I can go ahead and get going on the other. Kind of created a assembly line in order to got all my clamps lined up. So I can go ahead and just put them together real fast. You know, it's still a slow process because, you know, you get them shooting across the room and everything. Let me back out. So with the camera reset here, I'm going to get my other camera reset. I don't know which footage is going to be more viable. I'm just grabbing a few more of these wheels. I'm going to go ahead and leave them in this open spot. I don't know if you can, a little open spot right here between my, I left this out here on purpose. As I assemble these things, I'm just going to remove the clamp. But I have a little area open so I can get those my modeling tweezers here in there to grab hold of those tires, or tires, wheels. Another dab of glue and that. Put in there, hopefully don't shoot it across the room. And slide it on. Hopefully without, my clamps are not tight enough. No matter. Just got to turn them in a little bit. And grab. Now what you don't want to do is you don't want to grab them like way down deep. It'll be hard to get them on the axle. You want to grab them right here at the very end, like that. I even like to get a little closer, but just enough to get them on that axle, and then pull apart and release. I don't like to go ahead and do all four sides of the axles at one time. Although I will have to say that it might allow the super glue to set up quicker. And hopefully by the time I finish doing the rest of the wheels, the axle I just ripped off on that first one will be set up in order for me to complete the job. There goes another. And you just, if you have a little imbalance on the, if the tire or the, I keep saying tire, wheel is slightly turned, it's not vertical up and down, or not slid on the axle all the way before the glue sets up, you could probably go in there and just use your tweezers to push them on there and get them all nice and straight. That one's done. Now these are new clamps. They're a little stiff. Of course, it's not a bad, well, it's not entirely bad. Right there. It's another one down. Now, what I like to do is, again, I use my super glue. It seems to work the best. I just put a drop. Now, I use a healthy portion of it. Just kind of right down that channel. It's only going to sit on a little bit of the glue, but it's hard with these cannons that I have. Let me get it on my pointer here. If I can. Alright. Just let it fall on the floor, I guess. Sometimes standing up, you know what it's all cracked out to be. I guess you can't do it that way. I guess the actual drilled out part of the cannon is not as deep as I thought it was, so I guess I can't pick it up that way. So excuse the fingers. Let's see if I can get that in view. You see how it's got all those rings around. These are more of a Spanish style, not colonial age, but much, much earlier in history. But it's got all these rings, so that's what the super glue will be resting on. It's hard to get exactly where those are, and besides the fact, I'm going to glue it to the back wall here, and that's why I have a healthy portion of super glue on that, is so I could take it and rest it up against that and just slide it in all the way and then rest it down, and that glue will set up. Just try to get it like right in the middle. The carriage is just wide enough. It has a little bit of play, but it's just wide enough for that to slide in there. And then it's not completely done. It's not completely done. I still have rope to put around it, and if you I don't know if you can notice or not, it probably can't zoom in, the camera won't zoom in that far, but there are little holes. They're not even holes, they're like little dips into the metal, molded into the metal of the carriage, for where the ropes go around it. Little straps that hold the cannon down. And what I plan on doing is drilling those things out, if it works out. And there's a little bit of flashing on the back side of the cannon and a little unevenness I'm going to have to take care of. But for the most part, that cannon is done. So we're going to move on to the next one. And the only reason why I'm showing, and I don't know how much of this, a little too much. That is what the problem is. There's guys on the out there that they'll tell you, and I totally agree with them, even though I'm not doing it right now for this particular project or part of the project. That is to never touch the super glue. If I can hold on to it. Never touch the super glue nozzle to your boat or any part of it, and so forth and so on. I absolutely agree, and I know I'm doing it now, and I'm breaking that rule. But this is going to be on the underside of the carriage. These are so low profile, you will never see this. And I want to make sure that these brass fittings, the wheels and the axles, stick on this metal. I don't even know what kind of metal that is. I want to make sure that it really sticks on, ain't coming off for a long time. You just slide it on. And this process is tedious. Alright. Let me get this one back over here. This is a really good tool, by the way. Any modeler should have this tool. I've had this for a couple of years now. I have never used it. I just unpackaged this tool. I don't understand why I didn't. I bought it and I put it up and just unpackaged the tool for this this task right here in this project, and I've needed it the entire time. Once you get used to using it, this is going to be one of your go-to tools for all your small stuff, especially when it comes to rigging. I can imagine that this is going to be really good for rigging. almost went flying. There we go. And the one down. Now, there is a little issue, I think, with the way these kind of have to come together with the axles. I really don't like the axles having to be glued on the bottom. You know, for all intents and purposes, I probably could have took like a little strip of wood or something and created a little, you know, an axle slot, so you didn't have to glue them on the back. You know, you still would have to glue the wheels on it. But you know, but it would have raised up, I think it would have raised up the cannon to a level that was undesirable for me in my project, because the cannon wall I have is very low profile, and that's the reason why I bought these particular ones, is just simply because of the height of them. They're low profile. They look absolutely great. I love these cannons, even though they're not in the era that I'm building the ship in. They just fit perfectly in the spots I need them to. So, you know, this ship has no historical bearing. This is a ship I'm creating out of my own mind. Never heard of a ship called the Christopher Joe. Not saying one doesn't exist, but let me readjust this camera right here. And I know you guys are getting bored with seeing this. Like I said, I don't know how much of this I'm actually going to cut out, but this ship is, like I said, it's a ship that I've created out of my own mind. This is my first wooden ship, and I decided not to follow any plans. I just decided I found on eBay. I was just shopping around, wasn't even looking for a project. Happened along this and fell in love with this old antique pond boat. And I just seen a lot of potential in it of what I could make it. And it's not for everybody. I get it. Let me zoom in a little bit further. But it's a really neat project. I've had a lot of fun with it. Let me turn the light over here. And trying to get my arm out of the way. Again, a little drop of glue. Not very much at all, hopefully. Sometimes, yeah, I know I slip and I go overboard, and I won't do that on the actual ship. Oops. Almost try to put it on the wrong side of the axle. And there we go. And there we go. And so, as I was saying about the Christopher Joe here, Christopher Joe is named after my wife and I, uh-oh, you see what I just did. And I mean, I've heard that if you name a ship, you got a ship named after you, you'll live forever, because the sea will never forget. And so I decided that instead of naming a star after my wife as a novelty item, I was going to build a ship named after us. And these cannons, now let me tell you about these cannons. These cannons are part of another part of a ship model somewhere. And I don't know what ship they came from. Obviously, it's probably a Spanish Galleon, which I would love to build one of them. And I probably am going to sometime. I got some other projects, other models I want to do first. There we go again. Nicely done. Let that glue set up. They're looking really good on the ship. I don't know. I don't think I've actually showed the Christopher Joe with the cannons on it, but got 2 more cannons to do here. And again, little drop of glue, little drop of glue. I'll tighten up that. Now this axle, unfortunately, that I have on the front of this, which is going to be that side of it, the front of the, well, I'm using a black pointer, but this side of it, the axle, I cut a little short, and that's something else I wish I would have done a little bit better, was when I was cutting the lengths of the axles. Some of them were too, a little longer than I would like. Some of them were shorter than I liked. What I should have done was I should have maybe a jig to slide in something with a stop and cut. I just didn't really have anything to cut the axles with, except for these big wire cutters. That was a problem, because they have a beveled edge. Anybody who's ever used a tool, and this beveled edge right there was hard to get the mark right, and I couldn't necessarily slide it in there in a jig form, at least not that I thought of real fast. If I would have thought about it for some time, I probably would have come up with something, but I'm going to go ahead and get these cannons done. So I did the best I could. The rear axle is too long, and the front axle is too short. And that right there could have been tightened up a little bit better, in my opinion. But just as long as the wheel goes on. Actually, the front axle is actually exactly the length I needed, on at least on that side. I know that the rear axle is too long. Now that I look at it, you got the tire on there. Tire. Why do I keep saying tire? I guess I'm trying to be an old car guy, right? maybe I should be doing car models. Which, my hat's off to those guys who really put those things together. Those car models. See, I can't get that tight enough. Cars and trucks and airplanes and all that. You know, I got a thing for ships. I usually don't do anything but ships. And I've done a couple airplanes in my past, you know, when I was a kid. Did helicopter. You know, one of my first models was a Huey helicopter. It turned out okay. Never could get the landing gear to work right. But ships has been my thing. Funny thing about the ships is how I really fell in love with them. Now I come from a coastal region. I come from Rhode Island. I live in Florida right now. But in Rhode Island, I live right off the bay. And you know, they had a bunch of boats around there. There we go. They had a bunch of boats around there and all that, you know, fishing boats and all that. Really never piqued my interest as far as boating was concerned. And they had little small sailboats. But when we were leaving Rhode Island, my dad was in the Navy and we were getting stationed somewhere else. We were leaving over the bridge, going from the Navy base that used to be there in Newport, across the bridge going to Providence. And I looked down and I seen the Coast Guard, I believe it was the Coast Guard Eagle, letting out her sails right up underneath the bridge. As she came up from underneath the bridge, it was the big white sails billowing in the wind. I just absolutely fell in love. It was amazing. It was just a beautiful sight to behold. And from that moment on, I loved tall ships. But how I got into modeling, because you know, the only models I had ever seen was cars, airplanes, and you know, battleships and all that. Never once crossed my mind that they actually made models of tall ships. Until I would don't nick me on this too bad. A lot of people do it. I could point out everything that's wrong with it. But when you're a kid, it's one of the funnest things you can do. I went dumpster diving. And I found someone had threw away a tall ship model. Now all the pieces weren't there, but I had a good portion of it. And I gathered up as many parts as I could find. You know, I tried to put that thing together. It was difficult. Nothing like I had ever seen in my life. And I had a lot of fun, a lot of frustration putting it together. But to be honest with you, that was the best model I had ever tried to work on. And from that moment on, tall ship models and tall ships have been my thing. My dad was in the Navy, so I guess it just came second nature. You know, I mean, I like the battleships and, you know, Navy vessels and all that. When I do a Navy, you know, when I do my ships, I usually stick to the to America. You know, I don't do German ships or Japanese ships, but you know, I don't have nothing against those battleships. I got the Arizona ready to roll soon. but I stick with the U.S. Navy ships or U.S. ships. So, you know, I seem to like those much better than everything else. Alright, so this is my last cannon. The axle on this one, this is the one I ripped off the axle the first time, and it's set up. It's on there. And my cannons are done. Well, I say done. I still got some work to do on them. Like I said, I'm going to put those ropes around them. Hopefully that's going to set them off. So let me go ahead and zoom out a little bit. And I'm going to go ahead and switch the camera around. Matter of fact, let me turn it off for this, so I'll be right back. I'm back. Now there's the cannons. There's the deck of the Christopher Joe. And let me zoom into the cannons. Look at that. Let's see if I can loosen up this thing where I can look at that. I realize that these are not the correct era for the style of ship that I'm doing. But those, you see how low that profile, that cannon wall is? Look at that. I mean, absolutely gorgeous. That's the last one. You know, the brass just spectacular. So that's what I'm shooting for. So let me zoom out a little bit. Let's see if I can get more in line. Here's my cannons. Now this right here is not going to stick up like that. I'm actually working, I'll be working on that soon enough on my thing. There's a steering wheel that goes here. The ship's wheel goes here. But this right here is going to have a boat on, a little dinghy go on it, and but the next thing I need to do is I need to paint the cannon wall, build out. You see how wide the cannon ports are? I'm going to build them a little close, a little tighter to the cannon, and then put a piece of wood going across the top, all the way across the top, all the way back here, right across the top on both sides. To basically, I call it cap wood. So I'm going to cap it off to really make it look like a cannon port. So, but that's the plan. Next is to once I got some work to do on the cannons. I'm going to paint the wall, touch up some paint. I got touch-ups all over the place. Touch up some of the paint out everywhere. Get busy on the little rowboats. There's some other things I need to do here, and I'll explain that once I start working on it. Up there on the bow, on the foredeck, right there. I got stanchions that I'm going to put in here and a rope handrail going around this foredeck. And then of course I got the mast to do. I got two, you probably can't see that now because I got them all zoomed in. I keep tapping and pointing at things that you can't see. But as I was saying, I got the mast and the belaying pins to do all the way around, both the foremast and the main mast. I got to build. I'm redesigning the masts themselves. I got some things I got to do here, and like I said, I'll explain that and when I start working on it. Got the davits to do back here. Davits to do back here. You know, in these things right here. And 2 rowboats are going to hang off the side of that. You know, and then the mast, like I said. Then I got a rigger. You know, so it's been a really nice project. I've enjoyed working on her. Like I said, this is my first wooden ship. And I think she's looking at just absolutely gorgeous. So cannons are done. As far as up to this point, I got to put rope around them. Cannon walls are next. So stay tuned. Like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you.